Today we're going to do something a little bit fun. I've got a friend of mine that I've been watching his channel for a while. His channel is Based Shaman, and I've been just loving the entertainment, just the positivity, just really cool stuff. I discovered, I don't remember how I discovered the channel, but I really liked it. Really liked the content, and it's just kind of fun and really good, good message, uplifting message. I think of positivity. So I feel like it resonates, with you guys and what I'm trying to do on this channel. So I've got Alan here from Based Shaman, and what we're going to be doing today is we are going to be answering some questions, right? So Based Shaman, he got some questions from his audience, mostly, and we're going to be talking about doomers, right? So a lot of doomers, a lot of you, maybe you associate with the doomer group, and I know that a lot of the videos I've talked about like kind of incel and black pill and stuff, it's a pretty big overlap. So what we're going to do today is we're going to try and help out. We're just going to try and answer some of these questions that we got from his audience, and yeah, it'll be fun.
Oh, thank you, John. Glad to be here. Over on my channel, we have a lot of fun. We talk about a lot of crazy things, lots of just crazy things. But at heart, the purpose behind everything we do over there is really to motivate, inspire, and help folks to get through these dark times. So many people nowadays, man, are struggling. They're just suffering. Darkness, man, difficulties. And I myself know how that feels. Years ago, when I was a little younger, I too felt that, man, I don't have any hope. The world sucks, that state of doom, You can relate to that, John, feeling that doom?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, especially as you learn more about the world, and you maybe if you take the red pill, right, then you realize how things really are, and I think you can get into a period of despair because you feel like you don't have any hope.
Oh yeah, hope, man. That's it. That's the nail on the head. Hope. We got to have hope. We got to have faith in something, and that's what over on my channel, Starship Lockjaw, what we call it. That's what we're all about, inspiring that hope, and that's the plan. That's the master plan, brother. Hell yeah.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah, it's awesome.
Hell yeah.
So so let's jump right into it. Let's start answering some of these questions here. What do you got for us?
All right. Let's talk about this first question here. This question comes from Harsh. Harsh asks, he says, I just want to ask, if we fail to achieve what we imagined, tried it several times, and can't live up to our own and family's expectation, how to handle such a situation? Please help. I'm totally broken from the inside.
That's a good one. I guess I can start off on this one. I would say, the thing that stands out to me, that what he's saying here is where he says family's expectation. And I think one of the things that I struggled with a lot in life was dealing with other people putting expectations on me. Right. For a long time, that was a burden, right? I think you feel guilty a lot of the times. You feel obligated, right? You feel like you're not living your own life. And I had to just come to the truth, the realization that I needed to stop putting expectations on other people and not allow people to put expectations on me. And sometimes, and I had to do this with family too. I remember going through a period of time where I wasn't talking to my dad, and I had some disconnect from my family because I came up with this new life philosophy. I said, I'm not going to allow people to put expectations on me anymore, including family. And people did not react well to that, but it's been such a liberation in my life, because now I live my life for me. I live my life. I don't feel obligated. I don't feel like I have to live up to any kind of expectation. And so, there's everything that I do is because I want to do it, or it's the path that I've chosen, not a path that's been chosen for me. And I think that's,
right.
When I hear this question, that's what I'm seeing here is not so much that, he says here that, what do we do when we fail to achieve what we imagined? But I would really question is it really what he imagined, or is it what his expectations are from his family and other people that have put that expectation on him?
Right.
What do you think
Oh,
about
yeah.
this?
Yeah, absolutely. It's deep stuff, man. Sometimes we don't even live our own lives, right? We're so focused on what other people want from us, what others want us to do, the things they want us to focus on. And then we just totally lose focus of what we want. And like we throw everything we want to the side. We're so busy trying to please everybody else, huh? But a family is different, right? Because family, it's like, man, your family. I know that a lot of us, our desire for our family to be proud of us, to be supportive, it's so strong. A lot of times that holds us back in an old state of mind, doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah, and it's it's true, but I think one thing that really helped me through this is
Hmm.
I thought about it, and I said, you know what, my family, like, I love them, and I don't have any expectations on them, and there's nothing that they could ever do, or they don't have to live up to anything that I want for them, right? There's
Right.
nothing they could do that's going to make me not love them.
Hmm.
And I turned it around and I flipped it and I said, you know, if that's not true the other way, then that's a problem. Then
Hmm.
I'm, you know what I'm saying? Like, so
Right.
that helped me to not allow them to put expectations on me, because I said, you know what, I'm not putting it on you guys, right?
Hmm.
I'm gonna I'm gonna accept you no matter what you do, or who whatever you do or whatever you don't do.
Hmm.
So I expect that kind of acceptance as well. And if you're not gonna give me that kind of acceptance, I'm not gonna I'm not gonna live my life in that way. I'll disconnect. Even
Right.
even a strong bond as family,
Hmm.
I was willing to let that go, right? I know it's hard for a lot of people, but when you really think about it, it should be mutual. You should be, family is about accepting people and loving them no matter what. And if your family is pressuring you and they're saying, if you don't do this, if you don't live up to this, we're not going to love you anymore, or you're going to be disowned from the family,
Hmm.
it's it's not your fault. But at
Right.
the same time, are you going to live under that constraint? Or are you going to make a
Yeah.
choice?
Right, right. Okay. Yeah. I feel you, brother. I feel
Yeah.
you. Hey, how about then? How about he says, how does he, if it doesn't work for him the way he wanted it to work, he says, do you have any tips on how you can just sort of, sort of find something else, like your dream, your life dream. So many younger folks, their life dream sort of was shattered, and they say, where the hell do I go from here? Have you ever felt like that?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think a lot of it is, well, one of the things that I would say is that one of the rules I have in life is 5 years, right? I feel like anything worthwhile in life, it takes you 5 years to
Ah,
succeed at it, right? And
okay.
so I think people give up too easy, right? It's like, I mean, I don't know, like, how long have you been doing YouTube for?
Oh man, a couple of years. I started YouTube seriously in like 2016.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. I had to start over a couple times though, man. YouTube, you know how crazy YouTube is now.
Oh
So
yeah.
yeah,
But that's a good, so 2016 is 2019 right now. So it's been it's been 3 years, right? Maybe
yeah,
4 years. So but now your channel is growing. You're almost at 100,000 subscribers, I think, or you're
oh
somewhere
yeah,
around there.
little bit over now.
Oh,
Oh
over it.
yeah,
Yeah, over it. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. So
hell
so yeah,
yeah.
so it's like it's success at this point, right? Like, it's
Right, right.
so but I bet in year one you didn't have I bet you
Right,
couldn't make money from YouTube, right? I bet,
yeah.
like, you know what I mean? And even probably in year two, and you probably could have said, "Oh, it's not working, I should give up."
Uh-huh.
Right? I think most things in life like that, it's like you got to be able to commit to 5 years. So I think a lot of times, I don't know this particular situation, we don't have the details,
Hmm.
but is it really that he's tried and tried again, and can't succeed, and he's given the time, or is it that he's how long has he given it, right? It takes a long
Yeah.
time.
Man, I like that. 5 years. I like that. I'm gonna have to remember that from now on.
Mm.
Yeah, man, that's good stuff. 5
Well,
years. Dedication, man, takes that
yeah,
dedication. That's been a huge problem for me, is throwing in the towel too
yeah.
soon on the things that I started, man, and when you throw in the towel at that early, you don't really give it a chance, huh? Something else though is with the YouTube stuff, because that's probably what I know the most about,
Hmm.
that's probably my specialty is YouTube from what I've learned. But man, it started out real slow, and over time, you have
Yeah.
these big jumps, right? Because you learn new ideas. And that's why I talk a lot about we got to learn new things on where we want to go. Because I'll tell you, man, I was going like this in my growth, learn one new idea from the right person. You get in touch with the right people, you get the right ideas. Boom, you get that jump. You know what I mean? And that's how
Exactly.
success is, isn't it? It comes in big jumps, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes, yeah,
It's breakthroughs, right? It's like,
breakthroughs.
because it's like I think of it as water that you
Mhm.
have on the pot, on the stove, that's boiling. It's like you raise the temperature and it keeps on raising and raising, and you don't see anything happening, right? But then
Yeah.
when it hits that one critical point where it's reached that temperature,
Uh-huh.
100 degrees Celsius, it boils, All of a sudden
Right.
it transforms, it changes, it all happens but all that heat was building up over all that time. You just didn't see it. You didn't see any change,
Right.
but
Oh,
then
I
all
like
the
that.
change happens at one time.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Breakthroughs.
Yeah.
Man, I like that. That kind of reminds me of this the story about the tree. You ever heard this? They plant this tree, bamboo trees, the way they plant them in China, and they like you don't see it forever, man. But as
Mhm.
soon as it sprouts through, boom, that thing grows.
Yeah, and
Breakthrough points.
it grows like something like, was it like a it's I want to say a foot a day or something like that. Sounds ridiculous, but maybe
Yeah, it's
it might even
insane
be
like
that
that.
fast. It's insane. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
breakthroughs, man, breakthroughs. That's what we all need in our lives is breakthroughs. But it takes so much to get to that point, right? It takes
Yeah.
dedication and that perseverance, and you put that in, eventually you start getting those breakthroughs, man. I love it.
Yeah, I really believe that I don't know. Maybe this is like wishful thinking, but I believe you can't fail if like there. I believe there's failure with a lowercase f and there's failure with a capital F,
Uh-huh.
and you only fail with a capital F when you give up, right?
Oh,
Like
okay,
I
yeah.
believe you can't fail unless you give up, right? You just keep on, like, if you want it bad enough,
Uh-huh.
if you commit fully to something, you're gonna make it happen.
Right, hell yeah. Oh, I
Yeah.
agree, man. I feel you on that. Absolutely. Yeah, man. Hell yeah. Man, but isn't that's one of those things that like once it clicks, right?
Mhm.
But do you remember how you felt before that clicked in your head? Do you remember when that clicked in your head that like if I really want this, I can work it and I can make it happen? Do you remember when that clicked in your head?
I'm trying to think when that happened. I think it was when I committed to finishing things, right? There was a period of
Uh-huh.
time before I was a finisher in my life where I would start all these things. I call it the closet of broken dreams. You got the soccer cleats in there, you got the yellow belt, you
Yeah,
got the guitar with the broken strings, like all these things that you didn't finish, you never committed to,
right.
right?
Right.
And I started building this Android app, right? And
Okay.
I didn't want to build it anymore. I was tired of it. I was done, like
Mhm.
50% done. But I told myself, I said, I'm going to finish this. No matter what, I'm going to finish this, and I'm going to commit to doing this thing. And I got it done. And when I got it done, all of a sudden I realized that, like, it was just little by little working on that thing, trusting the process that
Mhm.
I could accomplish it, and I got the benefits from it after completing it. But it's like I started to realize that things that you only do 90% of the way, you get zero benefit from. You have
Yeah.
to complete it. And so that was when that clicked in me. I realized that, like, it's the same thing. I've written a
Mhm.
couple of books, and it was just, just write a chapter a day, just write an hour a day. And it's like, if you keep on doing it, you're eventually going to get there. Like, you're going to improve. And so I kind of developed that whole philosophy of trusting the process, became like a big slogan for my life. And so
Oh.
that's when that clicked. And then I realized that, before then I didn't, you don't see those small efforts. Like, you don't feel like it's building up and
Mhm.
going to produce something. But after that point, after being a finisher, then I realized that, okay, all I have to do is just keep on making progress. And if I can keep on making progress, whatever I want to accomplish, I can accomplish.
Right. Oh man, I love it, man. That's awesome. Yeah, absolutely. That's damn, there's so many things going through my head listening to you, man. You've got this on lock, man. See, I've only been in personal development for about almost going on 3 years. So I'm still kind of young in the game, you know.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
man, this things you're saying are good, man. Um oh no, never mind. It left. I forgot what I was gonna say. But I love it, man.
Awesome. Awesome.
Okay.
All right. Well, you got anything else on this one, or should we move on to the next one?
Yeah, we'll move on to our next one here. He says, yes, I'm in full doomer right now. He says, I'm a full doomer mode. He says, I'm 26 years old. He says, I had a wonderful girlfriend and was about to propose, and she left me for a guy in the military and quickly got engaged with him after we broke up. I'm so lost and hurt and don't know where to go to find happiness.
Hmm. Now, it might be worth, I don't know if everyone is familiar with the doomer concept. Maybe you want to start off by defining that, since he called himself a doomer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
oh yeah.
What's a doomer?
Well, the doomer mindset is they see the world around them in a state of nothing but like doom, and they don't see any possible path of success for themselves, and they see that out in the world too, and they just feel they don't belong, and they kind of hate the way society is. You hear a lot of about society,
Mhm.
and it's a dark state of mind. But from the doomer you can transition into the bloomer, and the bloomer is the one who they say, you know what, maybe I can do this. Maybe I can. They start feeling good and seeing, having hope, like we talked about hope. So
Exactly.
transitioning from the doomer to the bloomer, that's a good stage, good process there. And then hopefully they get to what's called the boomer. And the boomer, a 30-year-old boomer, he's the guy who's like, man, I got it made now. He's just happy, loving life, enjoying it. So, but yeah, the doomer is the state down here. It's low, man. It's not good. It's a dark state of mind.
Okay, it's like the nihilist viewpoint of like
Yeah,
there's nothing has meaning.
exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
So he feels like that now because his girlfriend left him. She's with another guy. She got engaged to this new guy real quick. So he's feeling in that state of doom, man.
Yeah. So what do you think about that? What would you advise him?
What would I say, man? I would say I know that heartbreak can feel bad sometimes, Most of us have experienced that. But from that heartbreak, I say that we grow from it and become stronger by replacing it with something else in our lives. All that energy that we've been spending on maybe this relationship, this person, blah, blah, they're gone. And we may feel a little void, but I say we fill that void with the right things, the
Mhm.
things that are going to be more productive for us, take us where we really want to go. And then those curses, I call them old curses. I think they always will turn into blessings. When the years later, we're going to look back and say, man, I'm glad I'm not still with that person. I'm glad because I'd be in a bad situation, right? So I always say turn the curses into blessings and make the best of the situation, no matter what it is.
Yeah, yeah, I would agree with that for sure. That's in fact to add on to that, I'd say that one thing that I kind of discovered in life is that I never want to be with someone who doesn't want to be with me, right? So
Mhm.
do you want people to be with you out of loyalty or out of desire? There's a huge difference, right? Like loyalty is a good quality to some degree, but in my relationships with people, I don't want them to be with me just out of a sense of loyalty or obligation or duty, right? And
Uh-huh.
so I think this guy Hooper, he's finding out here that this girl that he was going to marry, right, that he was going to engage into kind of a loyalty contract with,
Right.
that that she wasn't really there all the way, right? That
Mhm.
she So it's kind of a good thing, to find this out. I mean, it's a heartbreak. It's hard to take this, but the reality of the situation was that she was in a different place than he was, and he discovered this by this happening, right,
Mhm.
by her going off and meeting this guy in the military and getting engaged to him. That even though it might seem like a bad thing at the surface, had that not happened and he had just married her, then he would be in one of those relationships where she didn't really want to be there. She wasn't, maybe she made a choice and she's staying there out of loyalty, but maybe she would have left later on. Maybe it would have kind of destroyed his life, like, and wasted more of his time and years. And so I think, this is, I look at that as he dodged a bullet. That's how I look at it, as I
Oh,
say,
absolutely.
because it was what it is, right?
Yeah.
And I think there's also just a good learning experience here, right? I would say, look at this and look at and see what are the things that you could that might have caused this, right? A
Mhm.
lot of guys, I think that a lot of young guys that haven't really had mentorship from men, haven't really learned how to be men. They don't know how to act in a relationship, and they act in a very
Mhm.
needy way
Yeah.
when they do get that girlfriend, and they think that she's the one, and so they don't have their own purpose and mission in life,
Mhm.
and that becomes a very unattractive quality, unfortunately. Like, women want to be number two in a man's life, and they want his mission and purpose to be number one. And so maybe, maybe Hooper, maybe you look at this and you question, you say, was I making her the center of my whole life, and did
Mhm.
that did that make me seem needy? Did that kind of scare her away? Did that make her lose attraction? And then in the future, what can I do? How can I, as a man, have a purpose, be driven, go after the things that I want in life? And that's a super attractive quality, right? I think that, developing that and realizing that, when you have that mission, you have that purpose in life as a man, that
Yeah.
it's going to attract women to you, and they're going to want to be with you because they want to be with that guy. They don't want to be with the guy necessarily that even though he's nice and wants to do things for them, that
Right.
builds their whole life, his whole life around them, right?
Right. Oh, exactly. Man, you hit the nail on the head. That's like nice guys and all the nice guys and all their mentality and stuff. Man, you just hit the nail right on the head. I guess I've never really thought about that and, sharing that with people that once you have something you're driving towards, it's important to you, it's serious to you. You take it seriously, you dedicate yourself to it. That makes you much more attractive in the long run, as opposed to, like you're saying, the guy who just, trying to obsess over her and make her the center of his world and everything. Man, that's good. That's so many folks need to hear that because, like you're saying, man, they find themselves in bad positions. And when I was younger too, I was like that too.
Hmm.
I would get a new girlfriend and I'm always trying to talk to her and stuff. And over time, it just never worked out. And looking back, I'm like, that's exactly what it was, man. I was putting too much focus on them instead of having my dreams and goals and desires that I'm working towards. Once you have that, things change. So over time, I sort of changed for me too, and I didn't have that problem anymore. That's golden, brother. That's golden.
Yeah,
You help
yeah.
some people. You help some people with that, man. Damn.
Awesome. Yeah, yeah. No, I did the same thing when I was
Yeah.
younger too, right? I would have a girlfriend, build my entire life around, drop whatever I was doing, and just like focus on her and thinking that's going to bring me happiness. And when you build your life around something, when you put your happiness dependent on someone else,
Hmm.
then it's a bad place to be, right? I like the stoic
Exactly.
mindset, I like the stoic philosophy of saying that, you know, I want everything that I build my life and identity around to be internal, not external. I don't want
Mhm.
external validation, because in this event, right, he's in the situation where he says, I feel lost and hurt. I don't know where to go to find happiness. And the problem is because all of his happiness was tied to this girl, and then she
Yeah.
left, and now he doesn't have happiness. But if all of his happiness was tied to his mission, what he was doing in life, his purpose, and the girl was an addition to the life, an
Right.
accessory, something that enhances the flavor, like salt on
Hmm.
meat instead of the meat itself, then when she left, it would have been a disappointment. But he would have still known where to find happiness, because that would have been his base. He would have said, well, that was great when she was in my life. It was a wonderful experience, but I still have my life. Whereas now it's like
Right.
his whole life is taken from him because he's built his foundation on the wrong thing. It's not on a girl or a relationship. It has to be on your mission, your purpose.
Exactly. Man, that's golden. That's the ticket right there, brother. That's the ticket. Man, I'll tell you, like you're saying, man, when we put all of our focus and happiness, everything into one person or one thing, when that thing goes down the drain, boom, we're feeling low, man. But
Yeah.
it's sort of a natural thing to do for a lot of younger guys nowadays, isn't it? When they get that girlfriend or that, opportunity and they're like, this is my life now. How can they go about preventing themselves from falling into that trap? What would you say is the most important thing to find a purpose, right? Like you're saying, find a purpose before you even start getting into these relationships and stuff, right?
Yeah, yeah, to have that, definitely to have that purpose, to figure out what it is that you want to drive for in life. To have, and it doesn't, I actually heard some really good advice from someone who I look up as a mentor, Grant Cardone,
Mhm.
and he said that it doesn't matter what you do, just pick some goal and go
Mhm.
for it. And I thought about that because a lot of times you're like, well, what should I do in life? And you're trying to figure this out. And he's like, it doesn't matter, right? And it's like, I have some things. I was thinking about that, and I was like, I run marathons, right? And
Mhm.
it's like, I'm definitely not going to win any. I'm not the fastest guy. I'm 240 pounds. There's no chance of me winning one, but I'm competing against my own time. Like, and why am I even doing this? It's kind of a pointless goal, but it gives me something to drive for, right? It gives me
Right.
something to live for, right? And so you got to pick. All goals technically are meaningless. What does it really matter if you acquire money? What is it like? None of these things really matter, right? It's
Mhm.
just a game, but you got to pick some kind of thing to go after in that game. And
Mhm.
and once you pick that, then you'll have the drive, and you'll have something to push towards, right? Even if life is meaningless or pointless, like even if you have that viewpoint, then pick something. Just put a stake down and just be like, I'm going to go after this thing. I'm going to become a bodybuilder. I'm going to go build a business. I'm going to, whatever it is, I'm going to run marathons. And now you've got that purpose, and now you've got something to drive for. And that's going to give you, something to build your life around.
Right, exactly. Something to wake up every day and be like, man, it's time to get to work. It's time to work towards this, accomplish this, right?
Exactly.
How
Yeah.
about the folks though? A lot of folks they're saying, what's the point though, right? A lot of younger folks, they're saying, what's the point? They're saying, why? They're saying, what's the purpose? And they just, it's a dark state of mind a lot of folks are in, man. And that's just I don't know, what do you say to them? They say, why? They say, what's the point?
Well, you know what? This is what how I think of it, right?
Mhm,
Is I think there's a lot of people that are chasing happiness when they should be chasing fulfillment. And there's a huge difference, right? Like happiness is something that's fleeting. It's an emotion. It comes and it goes, right?
mhm,
You get something good, you feel happy, but even happiness, you become immune to it, right? It's the hedonistic treadmill, right? If you get a new car, you'll be happy for a while, but then pretty soon it'll become the old thing. Like, and you won't be as happy about it. Even if you get a new girlfriend, you're like, oh wow, she's so beautiful, she's so pretty, and then after some amount of time, it's not going to be as wonderful again. Like you keep on searching for these things, but fulfillment comes from becoming something more, right? And that the whole purpose, like all these goals, like everything that we try to do in life, I don't think of it as I want to as the goal being the end. The goal is
mhm,
not the point. The goal is something that makes me grow as a person in order to reach it, right? The goal is arbitrary. It doesn't matter what the goal is. What matters is who you become in the process, and that's what gives you fulfillment. Fulfillment is when you look at yourself and you say, "Wow, I used to be like this, and now I've expanded. I've become a better person. I've grown my character. I've grown
mhm.
my perseverance. I've grown my mental toughness, right? And that's what the purpose of life is to become better, is to become what you're capable of becoming. And all of these experiences, all the bad things, all the trials, all the goals that we set in life, all of
Mhm.
those things are for one purpose, and that purpose is for you to grow. And when we grow is when we have fulfillment. If without growth, we don't feel fulfilled. And that's why, I think a lot of probably doomers, they get enjoyment out of playing video games, right? I think
Yeah.
that's a common. I used to love playing video games and
Oh, yeah.
leveling up, right? Playing
Yeah.
MMOs and stuff.
Yeah.
Why is that so enjoy? Why is it? And again, it's not just happiness, because some of that, it's like drudgery, right? It's like you're grinding it out, you're gaining levels, right? It's
Yeah,
hard,
exactly.
right? You don't feel happy all the time, but you feel
Mhm.
fulfilled because you're growing, because your character is growing, right? And that's the same
Right.
thing is life. Is like it doesn't have to have a point. The
Mhm.
point can be that you grow, that you're leveling up your character. That's how I look at my life, is
Yeah.
I'm leveling up myself, right? It doesn't even matter, sometimes maybe I'm gonna get killed, and maybe my equipment's gonna get taken or whatever, you know what I mean?
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
but I keep the level. I keep the
Mhm.
level. That's the thing I think of.
Right. Oh, man, I love that. Yeah, you're exactly, man. A lot of these folks, they're addicted to video games, and I used to play a lot of video games too, man. Reached a point where, like you're saying, I realized I'm like, man, I want to be doing this stuff in real life where I can actually get something back out of it. Because it does, man. The way it makes you feel like you're accomplishing this, leveling up, getting on. I'm like, man, I want to do that in real life. And then that was when I was able to stop playing video games completely, pretty much. Yeah. Oh, that's good, man. That's good. That's golden. Damn, love it. Love it. Man, let's see here.
Oh, I had one more thing for this guy here too. I
Oh,
think
yeah.
is, which was this. I was thinking about this, and I think this is just good in general. Is I like to say, if there's one, there's more than one. If there's one, there's many, right? So this guy, Hooper, he's lost this girl, his girlfriend, that he's 26 years old. If
Mhm.
there's And he says, a lot of guys are like, oh, that was the only one for
Yeah,
me.
yeah,
But this is a big world. There's billions of people. If there's one, there's more than one. If one person would, that you could build this relationship and have this girlfriend, then you'll find more. There's more out there. You just have to go find them, because it's very unlikely that you found the one person in the entire world, right, that you
yeah,
could fall in love with and have this relationship with, right? So
yeah,
there's hope, right? If there's one, there's more than one.
yeah. That abundance mindset, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I think a lot of young guys, when they get into their first serious relationship, though, you know what I mean? That's such a foreign concept to them.
Yeah.
Thinking maybe this isn't the one. Maybe I don't need to be so serious about this, but right? Yeah, man. It's always a good learning experience, though. It's always a good. We've probably all been there, man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's good. That's good, brother. Man, well, let's see here. Let's find another one here. How do I do this positive thinking thing? And there were some others that agreed with this question too. A question comes from Zach Rovik. How do I just? A lot of folks, they just don't really understand the concept of positive thinking.
Mm.
It's a foreign concept to them. People who have been stuck so long and just You know, it's something they've never done before. But I know that you do this, John. I know you've got the positive mindset and you know the power of the mindset and you fully implemented it. What would you say to someone who says like, how do I get started in this positive thinking thing? Like they're willing to give it a chance, right? They're willing to give
Yeah.
it a chance. So what would you say to them? And they're a newcomer willing to give it a chance.
You know, I always think this is the phrase I use. I either win or I learn, right? So everything is good for me, right? Everything is good, right? Because if I try to do something and I succeed at it, I win. It's great. I won. I got what I wanted. If I fail at it, I learn. And so
Exactly.
that progresses me. So then I gained experience points, right? If we're talking about using the theme of leveling up, I
Yeah.
got closer to the next level, right? So
Yeah.
that's good. So everything is good. There's nothing that is bad because I view everything in that way. And I think that's how you get started with this is you just start, you're like Neo from the Matrix. You start bending, you bend the spoon, you bend reality. You say,
Mhm.
you know, how can I view this in such a way that there's a positive, because there's always a positive from it, right? If we look at our life experiences, right? You know, I've
Mhm.
had a lot of things that happen in my life that at the time they seemed like really bad things, but
Mhm.
all of those things led me to who I became now, right? Without those things, without those quote bad experiences, I wouldn't be the person I am now. I wouldn't be able to help other people. I wouldn't be able to teach. I wouldn't have gone down that path. Some of the paths were dark paths, but I had to go down that dark path in order to, you know, become the person that I am today, and to you know, those things taught me a lot of things in life. So I
Right.
think it's not that you just like that you're just positive and you just think everything is great, everything is good when it's not good. It's that you realize, you look for the thing that's good out of the bad, right? You know, you
Mhm.
if you lose your job, right? What does that mean? Is that a bad thing? Well, maybe you learned something. There's probably a reason why you lost that job, and so you can learn from that experience. Or maybe now you have an opportunity to look for a new job. You know, you have an opportunity to change your life. You have an opportunity to mix things up, right? Every single thing that happens, there's always something that can be gained from that experience, and so you got to find it. You got to look for that, and even sometimes the only thing to gain from the experience is that made you tougher, and that's a good thing too, right? Like if you get kicked in the balls, you know, it's hard to find something good about getting kicked in the balls, except that, you know what, you took the pain.
Right.
It made you tougher. You've experienced that level of pain now, and now you're a tougher person because of that. So going through hard shit is good, right? Because it makes us tougher, makes us stronger. You know, we're more resilient in the future. And so all of these things, that positive thinking isn't just, you know, seeing everything as rainbows and sunshine. It's saying, you know, either I win or I learn.
Mhm. Right. Oh yeah,
You know,
exactly, man.
what do you think about that?
Oh yeah, brother. Everything, man. Everything that happens to us, we can just learn from every bit of it, man. Everything, you know, like you're saying. Whatever happens, whatever experience, whatever person we come into contact, anything, there's always a lesson to be learned, right? Oh, there's always a lesson to be learned, man. You know, one example, something that happened to me a while back, YouTube, man, they didn't like some of my videos I was putting up. So you know
Yeah.
what they did was they demonetized my whole channel. You know what I mean? And at the time, man, I was like, dang, this sucks. It was bad. But you know what that forced me to do? It forced me to go find new opportunities. So I went and
Mhm.
found some new opportunities and started doing some making sales online. And I never really, I had always wanted to do that, but I never would have said I'm going to do this if I wasn't forced to do it from the bad situation, right?
Right. Yep.
So it's like you're saying, there's always something to be learned, no matter how dark no matter how dark it seems, there's always a way to say, you know what, I'm going to take this from this. I'm going to get something out of it. Negative mindset says this sucks. Life sucks. It's over for me. You know, that's what a lot of the doomers, a lot of times people say, it's over for you. It's over for you. Folks always, have you ever heard that online?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, they say it's over for you, boyo. They say it's over for you. But no, it's never over. There's always that path. You just got to take it out of it, find it. It's always there, right? Always.
Exactly. And it's amazing. I think when you change, you know, it sounds a little bit woo woo out there, but you affect reality by what you think. I really believe, like I always tell people that I live a semi-charmed life, that everything that I want happens for me. Everything always works out for me. I truly believe everything always works out for me. And because I believe that, it does. Now, some people would look at it and say that didn't work out for you. But again, I interpret it as such that it works out for me, right? And you know, it's one thing that I've always held on to is it's more important to have effective beliefs than true beliefs, right?
Mhm.
And you can believe true beliefs. Like, it's a question of whether we even know what is really true in reality, right? Everything is kind of a model, right? Even in science. But if you have a true belief but it doesn't serve you, it has no benefit. But if I have an effective belief, even if it's not true, but it serves me, it makes me happier, more productive in life, more fulfilled, and gets me what I want out of life, I'd rather hold on to that belief. So it might not be true that everything always works out for me, but I choose to believe it anyway, because believing that makes my life better.
Because it's effective. Exactly.
Exactly.
Oh man, that's good, man. Dang, that's good. Effective beliefs. That's what you call it, huh? Effective beliefs.
Effective beliefs. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, that's so good, man. How do you train yourself to accept this effective belief beyond a shadow of a doubt?
I think what it comes down to is just realizing that it's more beneficial, right? To choose the more beneficial path, right? Because if something bad happens, like, there's things that are outside of our control, right? Everything is outside of our control except for what we have here and in here. That's it. Everything else is outside of our control. And so I'm either going to take the viewpoint in life that I am in the back seat of the car, with my, duct taped and my hands tied together, and I'm going for a ride, right?
Victim mindset.
Right.
Yeah.
Or I'm the driver, right? I
Mhm.
can envision myself either way. And so, in those situations, I want to be the driver. I don't want to be sitting in the backseat of the car, like, having someone else steer my life and just going whatever direction that life takes me, and feeling like I'm just the victim of circumstances. Instead, I want to be the one controlling the circumstances. So where is my steering wheel? My steering wheel is here, and it's here, right? I
Mhm.
can control that. So I'm going to control that to the best of my ability. I can't control the weather. I can't control what other people do, what other people think, what other people say, right? Or,
Right.
whether or not things succeed in life. But what I can do is I can control my mind. I can control my thoughts. I can
Yeah.
take the wheel by doing that. And so that's what helped me transition into that way of thinking, was realizing that what are the things that I have effect or control over, and that's what I have control over. So I'm going to do that to my maximum ability. And what I found was that when I start to do that, and I have control over my own thoughts and my own self, and I'm being positive, and I believe that things are going to work out for me and that I'm going to succeed, I'm much more likely to. I can influence other people in the world a lot more, but it starts here. And so I
Right.
think that's the key thing. Is it's like, if I don't care what's happening in the world, because I'm not going to bitch about it, because I can't control it. I can't do it. Like, in any situation, there's three things you can do. You
Uh-huh.
can accept it, you can leave it, or you can change it. That's
Mhm.
it. Those are the only, bitching about it is not an option. It's not effective.
Right.
But most people choose to bitch about things,
Right.
right? So I'm going to decide. I'm going to pick one of those three paths. I'm either going to, a lot of times I just accept it. I'm like, oh, it's raining today. Okay, it's fine. I'm in
Mhm.
traffic. I'm going to be late. Okay, accept it, right? There's no point, right? Sometimes I'm going to just leave the situation if I'm in a toxic relationship or, toxic environment, and I don't want to deal with it. I'll just leave it. I can remove myself from it. I don't have to bitch about it. I don't have to complain about the person.
Mhm.
Or, if I need to, if I feel like I can change it, right? There's certain things that I have the power to change in my life, certain things I don't. I can't change the weather, okay? But I can, if I'm not being productive at work, if I'm sleeping in too late, I can change
Mhm.
that. I can change my habits. I can change what I do. I can change my weight. I can change my diet, right? Those things I can change.
Right. Well, you're taking full accountability, huh? Taking full accountability for your life, for what's going on, for what you're focusing on. It makes all the difference, doesn't it? When you take accountability for everything and say it's because I did this, it's because I didn't do this. A lot of time we put the blame out. Yeah,
Yeah.
did you ever in the past? I'm sure you probably did it too, man. Years and years ago, putting blame on other folks, putting it's because of this person. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
We
My
throw that
life
out the
was,
window, man. We throw that
yeah.
out the window.
I was
Hell yeah.
upset all the time because
Uh-huh.
people were constantly doing things to me. They were mistreating me, right? Now I don't
Mhm.
care. I'm happy. Like, I don't care what someone else does. I'm
Mhm.
happy, right? It doesn't take much. I don't have very negative emotions, hardly ever. I don't ever really experience jealousy or anger or sadness or any of those emotions that used to be 50% of the emotions that I experience.
Mhm.
Now, what about you? How did you figure out this? How did you change your mindset to a positive mindset? Were you always positive? Did you have a transition?
Oh, no. Yeah, I had to transition, man. In the past, I was just sort of feeling sort of hopeless. Like deep within my mind, I always knew that I just wanted to make it. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? And throughout life, I was just moseying along. When I was younger, I wanted to be a rapper. You know what I mean? That didn't work out. But after high school, I kind of tried a few things. I was just, man, I'm not really doing anything. Nothing's working for me. And how did it really click for me, man? Well, I started getting into personal development. Like I said, about 2 to 3 years ago, I started listening to book reviews on YouTube. And man, I started listening to those book reviews. I don't even know how I stumbled upon them, but through listening to those, book reviews about, books like, How to Win Friends and Influence People, these sorts of books, man. And
Yeah,
then I
that's one of
started,
my favorite books of all time. Yeah,
it's amazing, isn't it?
yeah.
It's amazing. Man, I started learning about this kind of stuff. And then I learned about the community behind it. People like yourself who preach this and live it and are living examples that this works, that this is an amazing way to live life. And I had never really known about it before. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when I found that and discovered it, I was like, man, I was like, this stuff works. And I started implementing some of it, started reaching a little bit of success using it. And that's when my mind opened to the possibilities that lay ahead. And that's when I was like, man, I want to take this stuff and share it with others who are in that same position I was in, feeling like, man, nothing's going to work for me. Life sucks. Society sucks, And that's when I was like, man, I want to share this with them. But it's not always easy because, a lot of folks who are in that position, they're not into this kind of stuff a lot of
Hmm.
times. You know what I mean? So it's challenging to get the message across to them. A lot of them don't want it. They don't believe in it. They think you're a liar.
Yep.
But it's 'cause they're not willing to give it a chance. But those who are, it's so exciting to share it with them, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it changes your life, right? In fact, that's what you said is actually a good way for people to answer that, or to answer that question. How do I do this positive thinking thing? Is we are we're products of our inputs. All of us are products of our inputs. And so if you're a doomer and you're constantly watching doomer videos about people that are producing that kind of content, it might make you feel good, right, to relate to people that are doomers as well, but it's negative input. It's reinforcing that belief. If you want to become positive and start having hope in the world, you got to cut off all of that, all the negative, and start the positive. Like
Right.
you said, you listen to the book review on how to win friends and influence people.
Mhm.
Start reading those books. In fact, when I think about it more, a lot of the things that really got me into this thinking was that when I started going on my runs, I listen to audiobooks at 2x or 3x speed, and I'm listening to all these positive books, positive, 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 all of
Right.
these things. Tony Robbins, Dale
Yeah.
Carnegie, there's a whole list of them. What's the As a Man Thinketh by James, is it James Abel, or I forgot his name now, but these are really, really good books, right? There's a lot of these really good positive books. And I started surrounding myself with people that had this mindset, people that
Mhm.
went to Tony Robbins events and that I met there, and people that that read positivity books, and all of that influence, all that input
Right.
changed me as a person. And I think that's the most powerful thing that you can do, is you can control the inputs. Whatever
Right.
inputs that you have, that's what you're going to become.
Programming yourself, huh?
Yeah. It's like
Oh,
it's like
yeah.
it's like a cucumber. If you put it in pickle brine, it'll become a pickle, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So what are you brining in?
Right.
I think a lot of people are brining in some toxic
Oh,
shit.
man, that's good, man. That's
Yeah.
good. What are you brining in? I like that. I like that. How are we programming ourselves? Yeah, man. Have you ever heard of Earl Nightingale?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, Earl Nightingale, man. He's one of the first people I started listening to. That stuff changed my life, man.
Mhm.
The Strangest Secret by Earl Nightingale. That too, man. When I listened to that, I was just like, wow, this is crazy. It's talking about how so many folks, they just don't have they don't have a set goal of where they want to go.
Mhm.
Like the plane, that takes off, the ship that sets sail. It has to know where it wants to go. A lot of these folks, man, trapped in that dark mindset, they don't have somewhere they want to go. They don't know where they want to go. They can't even get a concept, really. So it's like we want to help them get a concept of where they want to go and then inspire them to learn how to do it and to make it happen and to not let anything stop them. Like you're saying, that
Exactly.
resilience. Hell yeah.
Exactly.
I love it, man. I love it.
Awesome. Awesome.
Hell yeah. You want another one here?
Yeah, let's do it.
Do you want to talk about this one? Troph writes, 33-year-old doomer here, just working my dead-end job because he says, F it. The West has fallen and the country is doomed.
That's it.
Yeah.
You know, I would say about this is, what does it matter? There's all this, like, sometimes we look at the news and we look at our Facebook feeds, and we see all this stuff, and it doesn't really affect our daily lives. So what if the
Yeah.
West has fallen? So
Yeah.
what? Right? Does it really matter to you? Does it make a difference in your life? So what if people believe some crazy shit? So what if you don't like which president we have? So what if you don't like, what's going on, what kind of political things are passing? It really, for the most part, 95% of what's going on in the world doesn't actually affect you on a daily basis. but
Right.
but what you do affects you.
Mhm.
So block it all out. Don't listen to news. Don't listen to media. Don't care about what's happening in society or politics until it actually affects you. And then I think a lot of people say, well, it does affect me because, MGTOW, because of marriage and divorce and women and all these things.
Right.
But that's what other people are telling you. It has it really personally affected you that you've experienced in your life? Or are you just repeating the stories of the people that have been burned? Right? Because I think a lot of it is that you hear these stories from people that have been burned and have been, quote, hurt by society,
Right.
and then you just say there's no point. But you know what? You have your own perspective, your own life. And
Yeah.
but what did we do before we had the internet? Before we had, we didn't have doomers before we had the internet, because you didn't know what was going on.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's better to just ignore what's going on and just to decide that, what, you're gonna do what you can do in your life, right? And that all these things, like, don't affect you. You think these things affect you because you're letting them affect you, because they're affecting you emotionally, but they don't really affect you. It doesn't really matter, what president you have of the United States. Your job and your work and your ability to make income and to achieve your goals in life is not affected by that at all, for the most
Right.
part, right? So I
Right.
think that's the answer I would say, is like, stop paying attention to all this stuff. Just do
Yeah.
what you got to do. Have your own mission in life, right?
Yeah.
And maybe the playing field is a little bit different, right? Sometimes when you're playing a board game, the dice come differently, or the setup is different, but you just play the game how it is. And
Mhm.
so we don't get to control the board, right? Society, the world, whatever it is, that's the board, but we
Yeah.
get to control our piece on the board. And so we just play the game how it is, and you can still have fun playing the game.
Yeah.
You may want the game to be in a certain configuration that you'd find optimal for you, but it's
Mhm.
not that way. So what are you going to do? Are you going to try and opt out of the game? You can't opt out of the game. So you might as well just play the game exactly how it is and get good at it, right? Learn how to play the game however it is. I didn't create the rules. You
Right.
didn't create the rules,
Right.
right? But you got the rules. And so you can either complain about the rules and say, oh, the rules suck, or this is an unfair rule, or you can say, or you can become the master. You can become
Yeah.
the master strategist and say, okay, I know what the rules are, right? Maybe you've
Mhm.
got some awareness. Maybe you've taken the red pill, and you can see what the rules are.
Mhm.
Now, based on those rules, how can you play the game as best as possible?
Right.
That's the attitude I'd rather take, rather than bitching about the rules and thinking that is pointless, because you can still win the game. You just have
Yeah.
to, if you know the rules, you have an advantage over other people. So that's
Right.
how I see it.
Right, exactly, man. I love that. I say that too. I say play the game, right? Learn how the game works and just play it, man. And you can get the things you want and have to find the way to a fulfilling and meaningful life. But the problem is, man, so many folks don't want to play the game.
Yeah,
They don't want to play the game, man. They've taken that. We're talking about the pills, they've taken that black pill. So many folks have taken it, man, and it's growing, it's a growing problem. More and more people are taking that and giving up on life. And it's sad, man. It's so sad, you know? So it's so great that we're trying to share making it through all that, man.
yeah. I mean, look at even your example that you just said with YouTube, right?
Hmm.
YouTube, they made the rules for you, right? They said you were making all this content, and they demonetized your whole channel,
Right,
right? And
right.
so you could bitch about that and say, "Oh, it's not fair. I guess I should give up in life." Or you can say, "Okay, well, that's the rules. So I'm going to figure out a way to play in those rules," right? And you
Right,
did. And you figured out another way, and you built up your channel again, and you
right.
grew it, and so that's the thing, is it's like, you didn't define those rules. Those
Hmm.
rules might seem very unfair to you,
Yeah,
but what can you do about it? You could bitch about it. That doesn't do anything. Or you can do something you can learn how to play the game with those rules.
right. Oh yeah, man. That's what I've tried to do. Try to play the game on here, man.
Yeah,
It's something else, but it can be done. There's always a way, That's what I say, man. There's always a way. No matter how dark it seems, there's always a way to make it through. You agree? There's always a way, right?
there is. There
Always a
is.
way. Just finding it is the difficult part sometimes, finding it. Hell yeah. But it's there, man. If we search relentlessly, we're going to find it, brother.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Do you want to talk about getting rid of negative thoughts?
Yeah, let's do that. That sounds
Okay.
good.
Okay, this question comes from Eric. He says, how do I let go of the negative thoughts and be free of stress?
Yeah, I've got a couple of things. Well, I'll give you an example that I use, right? So I used to have really bad road rage, right? So I'd get in the car and I'd get into traffic and I'd be beeping my horn and I'd be like just upset, just angry, like, why don't these people move? Why am I stuck in traffic again? And I'd have these negative thoughts going through my head the whole time. I'm angry while I'm waiting, and I'm looking at my clock, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to be late, and I'm angry about this, right?
Yeah.
But then what I realized was that one day I came to this realization. I said, this is silly. this is actually pretty comical, because I'm getting angry at circumstances. It's like getting angry at the weather. Like, someone's not doing this to me. The guy in front of me is not doing this to me. Why am I angry at this guy? He didn't do anything. He's not purposely making the traffic slow, right? He's just driving. He's just trying to get to work as well, right? It's just circumstances that have happened. And so it's silly for me to be angry about this thing. It's silly for me to have an expectation, right? And I started to view the world. I was like, all these people, they're just NPCs. It doesn't matter what they just have programmed dialogues. They're going to run their program however they're going to run their program. And so for me to get upset at anyone for anything that they do is just ridiculous, because they're just running their program. They're just NPCs. That's how I started viewing the world.
Yeah. And
so a lot of that negativity disappeared, because I started to realize that everything is just circumstance, right? Everything is just, so what I started doing was, when I got in the car, when I drive, I would train myself as soon as I get, because you're going to get upset. You can't control it. So I would get upset, and then I would examine myself, and I'd laugh at myself. I'd say, ha ha, that's funny, John. Like, again, you're getting angry at traffic, right? And then that would break me out of it, because every time I started to get in that habit of thinking, this is ridiculous, this is silly, and telling myself that this is silly, and thinking about how funny this is, and then realizing that if it's something out of my control, I might as well enjoy the ride. I might as well, because I don't have any control over the situation. So if I'm going to be late, I'm going to be late. If it's going to take a while, it's going to take a while. I might as well enjoy the ride. Maybe I'll put on an audiobook. Okay, now I can turn this into a beneficial time. So now I'm like, okay, how can I make this positive? Instead of having those negative thoughts about being late and being slowed down by traffic, I can say, oh, good, now I get to listen to my audiobook, right? And so it's a positive time. So it's flipping it. It's realizing that most of the things that we have these negative thoughts, it's over stuff that we can't control. And so, and that also gets rid of stress, by the way, is because when I'm sitting in the car and I'm angry at traffic, and I'm like, I need to be there and I'm going to be late, I'm stressed out. But when I'm sitting in the car and I realize, like, I just accept the reality, right, that I'm going to be late and I'm in traffic and there's nothing I can do about it. I can only just drive. I don't have any stress anymore, because there's no burden on me. Yes, I'm still going to be late. I might still get in trouble. It doesn't matter, because I can't control it. So I don't need to stress about it. I just have to face that fact and that truth. But the sooner that you face reality, then the sooner that I think that stress disappears, and you can start to turn that around and take that negative and make it a positive.
Right, exactly. It's like we're choosing what we allow to upset us, to make us mad, because really we are. And man, I love how you said about the NPCs, I love that, because we can look at it as it's the programming, right? It's the programming behind people that causes them to act the way they act, say the things they do. It's everybody's different programming. A lot of times we don't vibe with someone. We just have very different programming than they do, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So by sharing the message of, positive thinking, trying to find that opportunity, shifting the negatives into positives, and winning, right? Trying to share that good programming with folks. A lot of times that good programming just doesn't align with their current paradigm, doesn't align with their current programming, and people can be very, very dismissive of it. A lot of times it even upset people. I'm sure you know that.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. What about you? How do you deal with the negative thoughts, or how do you change that around?
Oh yeah, I'll tell you, man. I'm such a big fan of taking the negatives, trying to turn them into positives. It's not always easy, right? It's not always easy, but it gets easier over time. And then we say, man, this is going on. This happened to me. Dang, this. But then you say, it's okay. I'm going to find a way to flip it. Find a way to flip it, man. Flipping houses, flipping these deals. We want to flip the circumstances is what I say. And we sometimes I find myself thinking like, sometimes this is kind of crazy. This is new. This just has started happening to me recently.
Huh.
I'm like, I kind of like this new thing I'm going to tell you. I'm like, sometimes I'm like, man, I want something really bad to happen in my life so that I'm going to be forced to flip it. You know, that's kind
Yeah.
of, it sounds crazy, but sometimes I'm like, I want something really bad to happen to me in my life so that I have to find a way to flip it because it becomes fun and exciting, right? Like things that used to be like, oh, I can't believe that happened. We're like, oh, this crazy shit happened to me now. I'm ready to flip it. And it just becomes a way of living life. And it's so different, man. I never knew this stuff existed years ago. But now that I found it, man, all I want to do is share it with others and help them feel like this. Because it's a good feeling. Kind of like we're sharing testimony sometimes, huh?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think, I mean, I love that attitude, because when you're actually welcoming harm to come to you so that you can flip it, it's like you've just unlocked the Konami code. Like, you're invincible, right? Like,
Right.
now nothing can hurt you, because everything, like, you can deflect whatever comes back at you and use that to send it the other direction. And it's very much, the stoic mindset. I don't know if you've read anything like Seneca's letters to Lucia.
Yeah. I've looked
Right.
into it a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah,
Good
that's a good
stuff.
one. That's good, I think, for developing. If you've gotten a lot of negative thoughts, I think that's one
Helps a
that
lot, huh?
yeah, for sure. Because once you have that stoic mindset, and you realize that, you know that you're welcoming adversity so that you can grow, and you can see things as positive, because you don't let things harm you, right? Another one, here's another good one too. Like, one of the biggest negative thoughts I think we have is anger, right?
Hmm.
So I'll ask you this. Maybe you know the answer to this. Something I discovered in life, which is, what is always the cause of anger?
What is always the cause of anger? What would I
Yeah.
say to that? Man, I would say, I would say like ignorance of not understanding something.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. What is yours?
So I would say that it's always, the only time you're ever angry is when your expectations are not met. So if
Okay.
you expect something to be a certain way, right?
Hmm.
Or you expect something to happen, or you expect someone to do something
Hmm.
and they don't. So the solution to never being angry in life, you can eliminate anger from your life, is to not have expectations. If you
Okay.
don't put
Yeah.
expectations on people, if you don't put expectations on circumstances, if you just say whatever happens, happens, and I'm
Yeah.
okay with it and I accept it, you're never going to be angry, because you're never going to be disappointed. You're never going to have an expectation that's unmet. Any unmet expectation, that's why we get angry, is because there's this gap. Because every time we're angry, we're like, well, it should have been like this, right? There's always this, I should have had this, or they should have done that, or I'm angry because they did this thing. And why are you angry because this person did this thing? Well, because you expected them to do something else. Why are you angry because you didn't get the promotion? Well, because you expected to get the promotion, right?
Mhm.
If you take away the expectation and you have no expectations, you'll never feel anger again. You don't have to feel anger, except that you expect things.
Right. Yeah. Kind of touching on Buddhism, huh?
Mm,
Oh yeah. Yeah. I love it, man. Letting go of those desires. They expect nothing of others, right? Siddhartha Gautama, expect nothing of others, right?
exactly.
You'll never be
Exactly.
disappointed. Expect from
Exactly.
yourself, huh? Well, how about expecting from yourself, saying, "I know I can do better than this." What are your thoughts on that? Saying, "I know I can do better than this." I know, like, you're probably too hard on yourself sometime, huh? You ever feel like that?
Yeah, and I think that's where it's good to have an expectation, your own standards, your own expectations on yourself, because that drives you to improve and to be better, right? Because the world, some days I have a day where I made a lot of money and I ran 20 miles and I did all these things, right? And everyone looking outside from the world would say, John, you're so successful. You did such a great job today. But
Mhm.
I know in my heart that I didn't give it my 100%. I know that I didn't do everything that I could have done, and that I may have won externally, right? It
Mhm.
might have looked like I did all these good things, and everyone would say that that's awesome. But I don't. And the reason why that's so important is because if I allow my value of myself to be based on what other people tell me, like what the world score is, then they can take it away, right? If it's someone else's approval of me determines my self-worth, then that could be lost. Just like the gentleman that we talked about that lost, he's 26 years old and he lost his fiance, right? And or his girlfriend, and she married or engaged this guy in the military.
Yeah.
If that got taken away from him, and so he was devastated. So I don't want any of that. Everything that I do in life, I want it to be my expectation. Sometimes I am pretty hard on myself, but the reason why I am so hard on myself is because I want it to be my approval, my standard of approval, and that's what needs to matter to me. And when you start living your life that way, people respect you a lot more. You feel a lot more happy and more fulfilled, because you can have, I mean, you look at all these famous rock stars and people like Robin Williams, right, who hung himself, and all these rock stars that commit suicide or drug overdose, and they're not happy. And why? Because their value is based on you looking at the world, all the things that they have, and they're successful by the world's means, but they're not successful by their own means, right? They're not living up to their own standard. There's something in their life, and they've been spending their time seeking the approval from other people a lot of times, and that's what creates that that deep, you can have everything. A lot of people think that if they won the lottery they'd be happy. You're not gonna be happy. You're gonna only be happy when you're living your life to your standard, what you're capable of. That's when you're going to be happy. That's when you're going to be fulfilled.
Oh yeah, I like that. I like that. So living to your own standards. A lot of folks who don't have standards, folks who don't really have standards set, and they don't have any. What's the best way for them to go about setting some standards of their own?
I think it starts with restoring your ability to trust yourself, right? Restoring. Most of us, we don't believe ourselves because we've broken trust with ourselves, right? So you say, okay, I'm going to wake up tomorrow at 6 a.m. and I'm going to go to the gym, okay? And then you set your alarm and it goes off and you hit the snooze button and you don't go to the gym because you say you're too tired. So now what you say to yourself doesn't mean anything. You can promise yourself all these things, right? It's a different thing. Like, not trusting other people is one thing, but if you can't trust yourself, if you've broke faith with yourself, then you have no control over your life. Now you're definitely in the back seat of the car. Okay. You're not in the driver's seat unless you can exert your own will upon your own life. And so it begins with setting small standards, with having a small contract of saying, when I tell myself I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. So you start with small steps. You don't commit to, I'm going to run 5 miles every single day and I'm only going to eat broccoli and chicken breasts for the next year. That's not going to happen. It's too big of a commitment. Someday, when you trust yourself enough and you have high enough standards, you could raise it to that level. But you start with something small. You just say, I'm going to commit to every day this week. I'm going to walk. I'm going to go for a 20-minute walk. And then you commit to that. And then, and then some shit happens during the day and you don't have time for your 20-minute walk. And it's like 11 o'clock at night. And you're like, you know what? I committed to this. I told myself I'm going to do it. So I don't care if I'm tired as hell. It's 11 o'clock at night. I'm going to go do my 20-minute walk right now. Yeah. Right. And when you do that, now you've got a standard. Now you start to make a standard in your life, and you can continually meet that. You're never going to go below that standard. And then as you keep meeting that standard, you keep trusting yourself, you raise the standard. It becomes a little bit higher. There's a little bit less, less things that you will accept in your life and more things that you'll require in your life, right? And it require you to perform at that level. And that's how you start to build those standards.
Yeah. Oh, I love that, man. That's so good. That's so good. I love how you're saying we got to trust ourselves. If we don't have any trust in ourselves, we can't believe ourselves. How are we ever going to solidify ideas that we're choosing to accept if we don't even believe ourselves or trust ourselves? Oh, that's golden, man. I've never even thought of that. Trusting ourselves, building self-trust. Man, and you talk about the setting the standards again. I'm reminded of, like, in the past, we've had a lot of relationships in the past, and a lot of times we'll find ourselves settling for certain things, right? But as we start making those standards and we start trusting ourselves of, I know that I deserve better than this, I know I deserve more, we stop settling and we say, I have a standard. And if you're not at that standard, then you say, I don't want to have anything to do with you, right? In our relationships that we have and things like that. It's just, oh man, but we can take that and incorporate that into life and everything that we're dealing with our standards. And like you said, it starts with trusting ourselves, of taking these beliefs, these new beliefs that we want to incorporate. I always say, out with the old, in with the new, especially the ideas and the habits And that's how we can really learn to trust. Man, that's perfect. Trusting ourselves. That's good, John. That's good. Thank you, brother. Thank you.
Awesome. Awesome.
Oh, yeah. Hell yeah.
All right. Well, I guess we should probably wrap this up. This has been fun.
Hell
And
yeah.
so guys, if you're enjoying this, we're going to do another video on Based Shaman's channel as well. So go check that out. In fact, go over there now, click the subscribe button, and subscribe to him. He's got some pretty awesome content. I love when he does you do a live stream every night, right?
Yeah, every night, brother.
I got to ask you, have you looked at Charlie the Unicorn yet?
Have I looked at Charlie the Unicorn? No, not yet.
Oh, you're gonna have to do Charlie the Unicorn on your live stream. It just occurred to me the other day. I was like, someone said something. I was like, oh, you got to watch this video, Charlie the Unicorn. You'll
Okay.
like it. Yeah,
Yeah,
that'll be a
I
good one
will.
for you.
I'm gonna do it
Yeah.
tonight, brother.
All right.
Oh yeah. All right,
All
John.
right.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. So guys, check it out on Based Shaman's channel as well. We'll have another set of these where we're going to answer some questions.
Awesome.
All right. Take care.